Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Good
Wow,
morning.
Janelle, I haven't seen you in like 5 minutes or so.
I know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I want to change my view so that I can see all y'all. So yeah, hey guys, if you got the camera, go ahead and switch those on, and I'm going to hope that there's a whole bunch more that join us, because there is lots and lots for us to kind of share and bring each other up with in regards to the mentoring. And again, we're going to do this now on a monthly basis. I think we might miss a few simply because people are out vacationing. I'm going to be one of those starting tomorrow, as long as my wife heals properly. She's been down since well, Monday. It really kicked in on our Sunday, but I've been fortunate. I haven't seen her. I don't think I can get anything from her that way. So let's start out with a real quick, who's got any good shares, good news? Been having some great luck with a mentee.
I have
Shoot, Shelley, go.
Jason. His deal is under contract, cash offer, gonna close September 13th.
Ooh,
Yay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
been good.
His first, or
It's his very first. Yeah, he's only a month
Good.
and like week and a half old.
oh, that's fantastic. You know, because one of the things that I always say, and it's a goal. I think, you know, as mentors, we need to remember this. It's a goal that we get people their first signed contract, which means a buyer representation agreement or a listing agreement within the first 30 days. Then to have them get 2 closings within 90. So Shelley, Jason's just proved that that's really possible. And then, you know, Janelle and I were just on with our mentee call prior to this. So if you guys would also that make this note, it's a side note and off topic for a second here. There was 5 mentees, right, Janelle? I think I counted 5.
yes.
Yeah. So there's only 5 mentees on there. And I'm looking in the mirror here, or we'll call it's the camera, but I'm looking at myself, and I'll share that now, you know, I think probably everybody knows, on top of me being the director of agent performance, I'm also now co-manager with Brenda Davis here in Rochester. So when you see the little C21 logo on either side, that's the reason that you'll see that a little bit more often, because I'm pretty much based out of here. Well, we'll find out how long. But Brenda and I are co-managing, and what, Janelle, you might have noticed, even though we've got like 5 or 6 new people, did you notice how many people from Rochester were on?
I didn't notice based on the city, no.
Oh yeah, I'll give a true confession here. 0.
Yeah,
Now, I'm gonna go, shame on my mentors, and then I do this, because shame on me that I've got 6 in this office and none of them were on. Okay, that's, you know, looking in the mirror. I need to hold them accountable to their goals, and we do those programs for their benefit. So if they're not on those things, and this would be the same thing for you, if they're not meeting with you on a weekly basis, we need to get them there. And if they miss 2, that's when you need to let your manager know. Matter of fact, let them know that they missed 1, because we've got to do an accountability session with them. The manager needs to know that they're not meeting with you, that you're not getting reports because they didn't meet with you. You didn't get a report because they just aren't giving them to you, whatever it may be. But you know, I just wanted you to know that. Janelle, I think because of what Shelley just shared, if I don't know that everybody knows Janelle, but let me give a quick introduction. That Janelle's in her second year. And Janelle has now become a mentor. She's also become one of our 2 recruiters for the company on the blue side. So there's a reason for that. But Janelle, would you share what your experience was? Because last year was Janelle's first year. She's already a mentor and now is taking on an additional task just for personal development. But I think it's important because we need to know what's possible, not what is, but I want you guys to know what's possible. So would you share what you did last year?
Yeah, so I was full-time when I got my license. Then I went
When
part-time.
by the way, full-time what?
Like
Full-time
full-time
another
job,
job?
like career that I have for like 5 years. And then I got my license, and I got super busy, and then I went part-time, but then everything just kind of like just kept happening. So then in November 1st of last year, I quit and then went full on real estate, which was like the best decision ever. I don't know how I handled everything, but I did. And then I sold 5 million last year, my first year. And just putting myself out there and utilizing my sphere and networking and just being on top of everything and being organized and being respected by other agents and learning. I mean, my office is great. So I feel like a lot of people in my office have made me successful so fast. Like everyone's super helpful and just, they're always there to help, which was really great in my first year because I had a lot of questions.
Who was your mentor?
Stacy.
Okay, so Stacy yourself did that. And I think there's influence there. There's no doubt that the individual makes a big difference. But I also, it's just, again, what I want is to throw out what's the possibility if somebody comes in and actually applies himself. And I want to remove something. What month did you start?
August 28th. I just had 2 years on August 28th.
So she had 4 months to start, if you will, up running into all of 2021 to do that 5 million, but it was only 4 months. And then she did 5 million. So what's really possible? So when people, I guess I want to have us as mentors eliminate the thought of our goal of 1 in the first 30 days signed, a contract signed in the first 30 days, and 2 closings within 90. That really is an achievable goal. She did 5 million, and I just want to make sure you know she worked, it was Monday through Friday, 9 to 6.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
And did 5 million. What about the individuals who join us full time? We've got to get them out of their own way and help them realize the nuts and bolts of this business is talking to people.
I think the biggest thing too, like I had a goal of wanting to quit my job. Like it became very toxic and I was being taken advantage of and I did a lot for everybody and I was just very underpaid. And my goal, like I wanted to quit my job so bad. Like I wanted something so bad. And I feel like that's what like you have to instill in like a mentee. Like, what is your goal? Why are you trying? Like, what are you trying to do? And like, yeah, you want to be good at your job, but like mine was like, I need to quit my job.
That's called motivation. What's your motivation? What's your why?
Mhm.
That's a huge, huge piece of what's going to cause people to do what they don't want to do. Let me rephrase that. It's going to cause people to do what they need to do when they don't want to do it. And they're given the option. We need to help them remove the option. We need to remind them of what their true reason is for doing this. So when you first get with your new mentees, what's their goal? Not just the number, but the why that number. Until they have that, why would I pick this up and start talking to a whole lot of people? I may be nervous as can be to even talk to my own sphere of influence. And why would I pick that up if nobody's even shown me how? Matter of fact, I just introduced the other group to a gentleman and I just signed him on. He's got to do all the exam, the class, the exam, the whole thing. But I told him, I said, you need to know that when you start here, you're not going to see what I've told you. And here, this, I'll do what I showed him. So here's what he got to see. And you guys tell me what you're seeing. No, I think no model is necessary. Hold on a second. I'll come back to you though. But
And
here's the only thing that he might have seen. Okay, now you're on. Yeah, there's, it's all these guys. It's all the mentors. Yeah, that's Jake, by the way. And Jake wasn't in at that time, so he didn't even see him. Thanks, bud. So guys, here's the reason I did that little pan. What did you see?
an empty office.
So we bring somebody in and we go, okay, here's speed board. Go do it. Right? And then they get to the part where it says, start talking. Oh, by the way, day 2, it says, start talking to 10% of your sphere of influence. And it does that for 10 days. If I've got it all lined up right, it says that for 10 days. And then they look around the office and they don't see anybody else doing it. And, oh, wait a minute, you're telling me Kyle did 28 million and Phil did 22 or is going to do 20, did 18? I don't see them doing it. There's no evidence. Matter of fact, the evidence is you don't have to come into the office. Apparently you can do work at home, do nothing, and business comes to you. Because that's what they see. That's the evidence. But what they can't see is what a Kyle Matta has done to get to 28. What a Phil Cini has done to get to 22, to see what a Dawn Hendricks has done to get to 22. They can't see it. Why? Because they did all of that hard work and now it's all the marketing and everything else that they're doing. It's being on the phone while they're driving to the next appointment because it's the only time that they've got that they can talk to humans. And I think back to when we did that last lunch and learn, who was on when Kyle and Phil were my guests? Were any of you guys on with that lunch and learn?
Yes.
Shelley, you were? Good. Nobody else had been anybody? Oh, okay.
I
You were
was.
too, Liz. Great. Okay, good. So you guys got an idea. To me, that was the best lunch and learn we've ever had because there was a boatload of people who got inspired by hearing that here's a guy 28 million who's out knocking on doors in Rochester, downtown Rochester, $400,000 to $600,000 homes in December, in January, in February, knocking on doors. And he's doing that kind of production. Phil, who's out saying, oh yeah, no, dude, yeah, definitely, I'm out. I'm being seen. I'm in my park, my market. I'm in my farm where people are seeing me and I'm talking to people all the time. The aspect of picking up the phone and talking to their sphere of influence. And on this particular day, we started at noon and both of them said before they jumped onto the call that each of them had talked to at least 10 people that morning already. But people can't see that. We have to be the ones who will provide the evidence. So make those calls with them. And Liz, you got Dan out there, and Dan was wonderful on the previous week's mentee mastermind call, because Dan actually took somebody and did the best thing that we as mentors could do. He sat them down, and for like hours, I don't know how many hours it was, he and his mentee made calls, and they did it together. That's the best thing that we can do for anybody, is to show them how to do what they need to do. And so, Janelle, that's the man, if we could get somebody to repeat and do what you did, and yours was a whole lot of natural abilities, learned abilities, but above all else, I think it was just your work ethic, because she was going all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, we were talking, I said, how did you do that kind of business when you're working Monday through Friday from 9 to 6? When did you do it? What did you tell me?
I mean, I would go to the bathroom a lot, and then my boss didn't want me to quit. So then they let me like work from home and stuff, but I would literally be like doing my job, but be in the office at the same time. But I would have to like talk sales on the phone of cars and then switch and talk houses. It's weird, but it worked. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It was kind of like this. This was your friend because you were always on it.
that's my best friend. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I guess, again, it's, the person's either going to have what it's necessary or not, but we've got to, take them to the level of what they're capable of doing. So, let's jump back, some best practices. Let's do some shares with best practice. What are you finding that's really working for you? Let's do a share on that.
As in like just our like for yourself and your business, or for
Or the
mentoring,
mentoring
or
aspect of it.
I would say like, I mean, me, I wanted to like know exactly how to handle things the way that it needs to be handled. So I would say just going in and my mentee is very, she's like me, like she needs hands-on, like she needs to do it. So we'll guide, like I'll show her what to do, but she'll have her computer, I'll have my computer, and then we treat it like we're doing like a real deal. And I will show her stuff that I'm doing on my deals, explaining like what's going on, and tell her what has to be done, and like even like the little steps of having to give it to our admin, like every little step, and having her do it. Like it's real.
Yeah, matter of fact, let me capitalize on what you just gave, Janelle. You've heard me say this before, but let's jot this down on a piece of paper real quick. There's 4 steps to career development. One is tell them how. So number 1, tell them how. And I want to remind you guys that you shouldn't have to be the tell them how. Almost everything in Speedboard is done by somebody else. Very little should be on your shoulders for tell them how. But step 2 would be show them how. And Janelle, that's what you just said is what reminded me of you guys needing these steps. Because your first job really is show them how, step 2. Somebody's told them how, but now show me what it is I heard. And that's most individuals. But then turn it around and now watch them do it. Step number 3, watch them do it. Confirm that they can do what they've learned and what you've just shown them. So tell them how, show them how, watch them do it, observe them. And then step 4 is what's really on to the manager. Tell them how, show them how, observe them, watch them do it, confirm that they've learned what they've been told and showed. Step 4 is where the coaching comes in. And that's really on the manager. Now, we all do a little bit of coaching naturally, but the end is on the manager. All right? End is on the manager. But that's the key, I think, Janelle, of what you were just talking about. But our primary is steps 2 and step 3. Show them and watch them. Okay, so good stuff. I love that.
That's what I do.
Who else is, what's that, Shelley?
I show them, I give them everything that I possibly have to do the scripts. We role play on the phone calling, and then I make him phone call with me. Andre won't do cold calls with me, but she does do door knocking. But I just hold them accountable. At least I try to my best to hold them accountable.
Yes.
I mean, there's only so much I can do. I can
think,
lead them
Shelley,
to the trough.
but I can't make them drink.
I cannot make them put their tongue out and take a lick. Nope.
That's it. That's it. And I think, Shelley, it's probably one of your strongest suits. I mean, I don't get to watch you work, but you and I talk, and Shelley's really good at being frank and showing with the
That was very
being
polite,
tough love.
Darwin. Thank you. That was polite.
Yeah. I know how tactful you are. No, Shelley shows some really tough love that it's like, look, what the hell? And you might even use different words, but she's very tough. on
Probably
it.
not.
And so you get to the point of where it's like, hey, Shelley, hey, Heather, this is where this is at. It's like, you've done it to where you've even said, I can't do anything with them anymore. I'm done. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it is a best practice. The way that I refer to it is care enough about people to confront them. They need to hear the truth. And these are not comfortable situations, but if we really do care enough, then we can have those conversations. And like with Andre, here's what we know. At this point, she's not going to pick up the phone. Now, she signed up, by the way, for School of Hard Knocks, so she will know.
I hope so.
Yeah, because well, here she's going to be sitting with 7 other individuals minimum who are all doing it. You're going to feel a little odd, and that's where, by the way, with what I gave you in those 4 steps is the reason Hard Knocks is designed the way that it is. We want to put them in the atmosphere of showing. So they already know how, most of them. So very little education, a whole lot more action, please. If you know that song from Elvis, I just changed the words. But that's what we need to put them into, and that's School of Hard Knocks, just so you know. Yeah, hopefully you guys are participating. It'll make a difference because you will be able to do a demonstration for your mentees if you have not been able to do that so far. But the bottom line, the reason I brought that up, Andre previously has been saying, nope, I am no calls. I just, look, I hired one in knowing that that's the way she was. Matter of fact, she didn't even want to knock on doors. But what she knew was then you have to use an actively passive approach, and that's the way we were going to help her build her business. So we're still on that, but guess what she's doing? She's actually knocking on the doors of expireds, because what we've been able to do is get in here a little bit and help her understand why she can. It's what's the mental block that's holding them back. That's the coaching arm of it. And, remind them of really what they need to do to be able to build business. So that's really, frankly, it's your frankness, your tough love is what we need to get them to do. And I'll throw one more thing on this, Shelley, that you bring up, and Janelle heard this on the previous call I had. By the way, there was only 5 mentees on that call.
I couldn't get in. I wanted to be there, but I couldn't log in again this week.
Okay, remind me. I'll that link, and it happens every now and then, but it really, if you guys are not, I love it if you make it, but if you can't, don't worry about it. What we really need is for your mentees to be on those calls. This is the one that I'm going to look for you guys on every month, so that we can really figure out what's going on. We're going to give some clarifications to some of my observations, but here's one observation that's come up, and it was off of the previous call. Now, Janelle's my witness, and Jerome was on it also, and thank you both for participating today on that. I think it's great when they can hear from somebody other than me. But I had 5 mentees on. And I asked this question because I kind of know this, but I need to get confirmation to my knowledge. So there was 5 of them on it. We'll call a very small representation of the group, but of the 5, how many of the 5 do you think actually completed Speedboard 100%? I see 3 fingers up. You can hold fingers up, that works too. Janelle and Jerome already know, so they can't play. Is that a 0, Liz? 0? Touchdown, no 3 points for it, but yes. Or field goal, 3 points, no touchdown, 6 points. 5 people on, 0 had completed it. All of them have been in the business for much longer than 4 weeks. And 0.
How many
Yeah, go ahead,
mentees do
David.
we have?
We're around 50, give or take.
50
About the
and not
same
one,
number of mentors.
and not one completed the task.
Of these 5, not one.
But of the 50,
I-
we don't.
I bet, I'll tell you, David, honestly, I would bet when I go out and I'm able to check, doing an office visit where I'm going to be looking at this. And this is not from a punitive to go, well, how are my mentors doing? Are they or their managers? This is for us to go, how well are we doing and what are the obstacles? So I believe it's this group I've already mentioned that I'm now co-manager with Brenda here in Rochester. Guys, I am learning what you're running into. And I don't understand it.
Welcome to the party.
Can I get an amen, right?
Amen.
It's odd because I do.
Amen.
Guys, I don't understand.
Amen.
We go, here's Speedboard, that it's printed out. Or that it's on the thumb drive and you go, here it is for you. Go do it. And it's not being done. They're not following it. And I believe, I don't know, but we're this is why we're gathering. I believe a big part of it is because we're not really demonstrating all of it, or we might not have enough involvement. But I'll give you this, I think above all else, their butts aren't in the office. They're at home. Is that fair with what you guys are observing and running into? They're all trying to work from home, or quote unquote,
I
Amen.
think,
from home?
I think they're working from home, but they're also got jobs. My 2 have jobs. And
Mhm.
Ah,
this is a fill-in for them.
great. And it's part of the reason I'm doing this is because in all of this, my mind's constantly working and going, why can't we get 25% of them to be a Janelle Ainsworth? And it's part of the reason I wanted Janelle to start out with her history, because I knew that she had started out. I didn't realize that you worked that job that long. So she did 5 million working a 9 to 6 job, Monday through Friday until November. So she did 10 months of that and still did 5 million working a full-time job. So even, and David, so I'm glad you said that, because it brings up that aspect of, you know what? I've got Janelle Ainsworth in our Port Huron office. She worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and she did $5 million in production. And she did that job for 10 months of the year. What's your excuse?
Yeah.
So, when we get these things, I think it's great because Janelle is evidence for these dual career individuals who have excuses. Well, it's the job. Well, again, let's care enough to confront them about their excuse. And everybody's got one.
I got one example and I have no printer.
I've got no printer, so I
I
can't.
have no printer,
can't-
so I can't do as much as I want to.
Come to the
Wow.
office. then.
Yeah, that's what I
Come
said.
into the office.
Can't do it. I'm working right now.
And I think that's the thing, Shelley, if somebody said to you, I don't have a printer, what would you tell them?
Go get one.
Go buy one,
Well, I said, go to the office. You can use it free.
go to the office, or
Or go buy one.
they might not have the money
Or-
for first-time starters. So I would either suggest go to
Or-
the office or send it to me. I'll print it to you and you come and get it.
Plus, we have
Or-
offices, you can get in any office anytime with the key lockbox and use any printer that's any of the offices.
And here, I'll jump in. I think Caroline, you're just putting the chat. I'm completely digital agent. You don't need one. That's simple. And by the way, Shelley, have you given like the final, like, I can't, I don't have the money to buy one. I don't have the time. I work during the day.
Well, Here's
well,
another one
I
for you.
can't, I'm not that connected.
Yeah, here's another one for you. You can actually print remotely. You could actually print to another location for somebody that has one if you wanted to. That's possible.
So, gosh, I hate to use it, but I think you guys have all heard it. So I'll put it in a politically correct way that we all know what they say about excuses.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Like Anna says, everybody's got one.
Yeah.
We've got to quit accepting excuses. We've got to help them overcome what their excuses are. That's really, I think, our most difficult task.
They'll come up with
And-
a different one.
Yeah, and you know
every
what?
time.
Well, you know, Shelley, when we were out with you guys there in Port Huron a couple weeks back, what we know is you can only have so many excuses before we have to have a discussion as to whether or not you really want to do this business. And that would be a discussion that you and your manager have. And what I want you guys to know, we've had the discussions with managers that zeros, the non-producers, it's okay if they're not part of our company any longer. It's okay that if somebody joins us and they don't do anything, or they're not doing speed board, there's no action, it's okay to have a conversation with that person and say, see ya. Now, hopefully what we do is we coach them out of the business, because why would you spend money and do things that's going to cost you money, but do nothing to make money? So I want you as the mentors to know it's okay. It's our job to show them their potential, but they have to want, yes, they have to want it bad enough to do what's necessary. And that's what we have to help them discover.
But you have to put
But
the
again,
effort in also.
Yeah, yep.
Not gonna fall out
We've
of
got
the
to be able
sky.
to show them how to. You know, so much of this, I go back to, Crystal, I'll come to you in just a second here, but I go back to my McDonald's days, and I think most of you know that, you know, that was 7.5 years, and yeah, I really do have a bachelor's degree in hamburgerology from Hamburger University, that I did graduate on the dean's list. Guys, it's where I learned how to really train and what the process is. And it's as simple as here's a manual, and they called it an operations book. And this is how you cook 10-1 patties. We'd hire someone in. I could take them down to the basement, into the break room, set them in front of the TV with this video that was 10 to 15 minutes long that told them how to do the 10-1 patties on a grill. And it was from, you got this little mark here, and you take it, and if you got more than 6, then you put them in 2 rows spaced evenly front to back. That you'd press the timer when the first one beeps after 20 seconds, you take the sear tool and you press down and you get it to adhere to the grill, and you sear each one of them. After X amount of time, you're going to take and you're going to slice underneath, and you're every step of the way. They would learn that in the video. They then come up and someone would show them how to do exactly what they saw and were taught in the video. Then they'd switch, and the mentee, new person, would do what they just learned, with the mentor standing directly beside them, making sure that they get every step.
Huh?
Career development. That's what we do. That's what we do. And the only thing that right now we're missing, and Alex and I are going to be working on this, is creating a video series that will become part of Speedboard. And then I'll throw one other thing out, because this is where I went, wow, nobody's completing Speedboard. Do you want to know how I know? Outside of asking, it was this. I got a call from one of our managers yesterday, and he said, Darwin, where's this video ad about how to learn? The link is dead. First manager, first person, manager, mentor, mentee, who said, Darwin, this link is dead. How do I get to this video? You don't want to know why the link is dead?
Uh-huh.
I haven't done the video. I haven't done it. It doesn't exist. In Speedboard, in this version, has been out for, gosh, 8 months, at least 6 months. It's the first time that somebody said that video link is dead. So that's how I'm pretty certain that nobody's completed it 100%. One, they can't. Two, nobody's brought that to my attention that I never recorded that video and got it up. So I hope we're learning lots, because a lot of this stuff is just coming as we go. Crystal, what do you got?
So I haven't had a mentor to use the new Speedboard yet. But
Okay.
my newest mentee that you know is Yvette, and she had to start a job because she saved X amount, which was, she said, 6 to 8 months, turned into like 2 months because of everything that happened, right? So she
Yep.
had to start a job. So she's working 2 days a week, which is Mondays and Thursdays. Was there anyone from our office on the mentee call? I didn't make it on.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
The Yvette has
No.
a hard time because she is working on Thursdays.
Yeah.
The
There's a couple of people who do make it on working another job, but they're kind of like on the side listening.
Right. She says she does try when she can, but the other two, I don't know. I'm not their mentor. So
And I think I have seen her on. Now, for you guys, know that if you've got the HRC agent development channel saved on YouTube in your browser, all of the calls that I do with your mentees are uploaded to that site.
I'm almost positive
Um,
I do not have that. Could you send that to me again?
Okay. Or I'll tell you what, just do literally a search for HRC agent development YouTube. It
Okay.
will come up.
Okay. Perfect.
If you've gotten any of my forwards on Hot Topic
Yeah.
Tuesday is now up,
Yes.
that would be the same. The only difference is it might not, it's going to take you to the video, but you're in the learning channel.
Right. Okay.
We'll
Yeah.
take you there. And
Because I'm gonna
Crystal, if
to anyone else's, the link to their thumb drive. But anyways, my biggest thing is she has 2 little kids. She pays for daycare. This year, so when preschool starts in 2 weeks, she finally gets a little bit of break on daycare. Her other one's in school, so they just started. She just moved them schools from Richmond to Memphis, so she's having a hard time with that. She's basically, yesterday at our meeting, she put zeros on everything because her hours of prospecting is not just phone calls.
Right.
So she was kind of getting annoyed with what we were telling her that you were saying. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because she is not on the phone the entire time. She's talking like prospecting with other moms, prospecting at work, prospecting at the
So why
store,
was it still zeros?
all this other stuff, right? And most of that is passive because you're not going to technically get a lead from it right then and there.
I'm so glad you're open with this. So she's saying, this is wonderful because this is in the I need help with category, which we always want to do. So Crystal, this is awesome. She's saying, look, all the time I'm out here, I'm actually prospecting, right? Isn't that basically what she's saying? I'm seeing people, I'm
Yeah, not
prospecting.
well, the hours that she puts on her sheet, right?
Okay, well,
so-
I'll come back to that, but you said she put zeros. Did she put 0 for the number of contacts?
Yes, she put hours that she was going to work, and she put zeros for her
Okay.
goal because
So,
Such a
let's
practice.
call her on her BS or lack of understanding. It's one of the two, and I think it's probably lack of understanding. How many conversations? So this was a great one because on the sheet it says contacts. Okay, on the sheet it says contacts. Let's define a contact. It was a real estate conversation. I had a real estate conversation. That is a contact. I talked to someone about real estate. So everybody's got to get this because I'm going to come back to your reports that I'm seeing. And it may not be yours, but all in all, it's consistent and your mentees don't understand. But a contact is I talked to someone about real estate. So they can say, well, I'm going to put in 3 days, but I'm not going to have any time for prospecting. Well, okay, how many contacts are you going to have? She still has contacts. Somebody who's working has contacts. I've got a girl here that I and her mentor said, go do work at the hospital. She's only been here for a year or 2. She doesn't have a large sphere of influence. Where is her sphere at?
Hospital.
There in the hospital. Go work hours there and talk to people about real estate. When you have a conversation with somebody about real estate, you've made a contact. Now,
right. No,
I'll share. Yeah, go ahead.
But what she's saying is like she'll put that she contacted 25 people, right? She actually talked to 25 people, but she put her lead generator goal as 1, and you're like, that's impossible. And basically, that's the way she took.
No, that's possible.
Right,
But
but
they're not doing 25 contacts.
right, but what I'm saying is that she'll make 25 contacts, but her goal is like 1 lead, no face-to-face, no listings, no buyers contracts, because she knows that initial lead doesn't necessarily lead to an actual contract or a face-to-face right then that week, right? Because this is a weekly goal, not a monthly,
so,
right? And
so
she
but
came from corporate America. So she's
Okay.
used to contacts. She's used to how many you're supposed
She's
to
an-
have, how many you
what you're
need.
telling me is that she's an analytical.
Yes,
Okay.
but she's also a millennial.
Is she actually giving or putting 25 contacts down?
Well, last week, I think she literally put 0. So, but, you know, I can look.
Okay, so let me go through that part of it. And I don't have it in front of me because I was on with mentees and before that it was an interview. But here's basically the sheet. We'll jump to that because I got a feeling all of us need a little bit of help and clarification to this. So we're going to jump on this part of it and stick with what Crystal's running into with this mentee. We can't overanalyze. The bottom line is how many days you're going to work, how many hours specifically are you going to prospect as the next line. So here was a mentee that I was talking to yesterday because I said, you realize you can't do what you just put on here. Her numbers were totally illogical, unlike what you had. So I'm not sure what she was saying that Darwin said is wrong. But you can't put in example, 5 days doing 3 hours a day, which is 15 hours. All that's good, right? I would take that. But to then have 15 hours and have 5 contacts, not logical.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. But how do we?
Okay.
How
So,
do we
by the way,
know-
Crystal, this is not yours. This is, I want to hold that for a second. This is not specifically to yours. This is what I'm seeing in regards to the report. So somebody will put 15 hours and say, I'm going to get 5 contacts. Well, guys, here's a guide for you. Make note, they should be able to make 5 contacts per hour. So when you see 10 hours, it should be 50 contacts. If they've got 5 hours, it should be 25 contacts. If they got 1 hour, it should be 5 contacts. That's an easy number for somebody who's going to sit down and actually prospect. And this is what we're talking about. It's not like what Crystal, your gal's doing. She's got a different scenario. And this is what I told this mentee yesterday. I want to know, you sitting down specifically, how many hours of prospecting are you going to do? And she goes, oh, because all of the time that she's doing all of the other stuff, she's making contacts. So her ratio would actually be much higher because I said, let's get specific time where you're going to sit down and you're going to make your 2 calls to your sphere of influence every day, where you're going to know that you get those 2. Or if your goal is 5, put down a specific time in your calendar to make those 5 contacts. So for her, it was really simple. 5 hours, she was going to make 10 contacts. Okay. And I'm okay with that. That's totally feasible. But on top of it, she could put more contacts because of all of her other stuff that she's doing, like what yours is doing, Crystal. She'll have contacts at work. She'll be talking to people there about real estate. Those will count in regards to the contacts. So today's work, how many hours are they going to put in? If they're new and they haven't set any appointments, look, they could work 4 to 8 hours.
I would give you a call.
So all of that is kind of an adjustment. Figure 5 contacts per hour, and they are probably 25 to 30 contacts should get a lead.
So what you're looking for on this goal sheet is not the total hours of everything else. You want to know the call hours. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yes. It's
Okay.
prospecting hours.
Okay, so because she does make calls, right? But do you include the time that she's text messaging and Facebooking because they're millennials and they don't answer the phone? You know what I'm saying? Like she goes, I can call
Yeah.
and she will not answer, but I'll text her and she'll text me right back.
The same. About 3 at 80.
I would say on that one, Crystal, use your judgment.
Okay.
I look at a contact.
Not a bad deal, really, and it's only 3 years.
You know how I always say, business development and lead generation. Business development would be that time on the actively passive mode of business. So Facebook marketing, I'm doing, quotes or responding to liking and all that stuff. That would be business development. So when we speak prospecting, I think we really want to look at the active mode
So
of
just
lead generation.
that they're talking or chatting with someone about
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah, I would go back to the aspect of a contact is a real estate conversation.
Right, true.
Prospecting would be making those
Phone calls.
real estate conversations. And yet, while she's out there, I wouldn't necessarily, I'm going to think from a coaching perspective. If I'm coaching this individual, I understand that you're doing that, and that's what we should be doing. But I want a planned time for you to be able to make those contacts, because you're not, most likely, they're not getting where they want to be. So I'm always having to think in the general terms of looking at all of these mentees, and what the common issue is. They're simply not talking to enough people to set enough appointments, to get enough contracts, to close enough deals to get what they want out of this business. And we have to walk them in reverse back to, how many people have you talked to? So if this mentee says, well, gee, Crystal, I don't have time. I'm contacting everybody at work. Great.
No,
How many people are,
and what she's saying is she wants to get her leads more organically than mechanically.
okay. And I'm okay with that. It's like, here I've got Amanda. She was the one I was telling you when I interviewed her. She wasn't going to pick up the phone. She's not going to knock on doors. She didn't want to call her sphere of influence.
Oh, she is knocking on doors, and she is calling FSBOs, and she is making phone calls. But so far, nothing.
Well, I don't understand that.
Right. So far, nothing has happened. And I think a lot of it is I think that she's not a pusher. So we got to teach her a new way of closing.
Okay.
Closing is a process,
So,
right?
Crystal, here's what I'm hearing. Now, this is what I'm hearing.
Okay.
She's loaded with lame ass excuses. Pardon me
She's-
for putting it that way, but that's what I'm hearing.
Mhm.
Because she wants to do it organically, but she's out calling FSBOs, but it's not happening. Well, if she's doing that, one, she may not be doing it enough.
Mhm.
And then it's like, well, the report, it's a stupid report. I don't know that I'm quoting her, but this is what we've got to be able to do, is get rid of the excuses and if that is a reason, I can work with a reason, but if it's just an excuse, I can't do anything with it. So let's say that here's a person that's called 5 new for sale by owners every day, follows up with everybody that she's decided to follow up with at least once a week. And in that, she's got, let's say, 100, a big 100 that she's doing this with. And she's had, I'll take it to the extreme, she's had no appointment. Well, the number of contacts is not the issue. Now we've got to work with her in regards to her verbiage and dialogue and what she's doing. So while she's on the phone, I may have her take her laptop and record herself while she's on the phone. Everybody should be part of Extraordinary Agents on Facebook. Alex posted a great video of him making a phone call, which is exactly what they could do to see themselves on making this call. And then they bring it back to you and say, help me out. What am I doing wrong? And you watch a series of these programs. And I'll give an actual example. Now, it wasn't a FSBO, but this was on the mentee call. Here's a gentleman that got inspired by the previous Lunch and Learn. He went out and bought 500 door hangers. And he's gone out and he started hanging. I think he said he had 100 of them gone. And he's got nothing from it. Why? I asked him, I said, so give me your verbiage, your dialogue. What are you doing? And he's basically, hi, my name is, I'm a local realtor. I'm new in this business. Anybody see a problem with that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, right? And then he says, so if you know of anybody or yourself who may be thinking of buying or selling, gee, I'd love it if you'd give me a call. That was it. So first thing he says is, hi, I'm brand new. And then he never asked for business, never asked for referrals. He doesn't know if that person he was talking to was thinking of buying or selling, and didn't ask if they knew anybody that was buying or selling. Totally in his verbiage. But as I put it to him, man, it's awesome because you're there. And if we're there, we're going to get lucky. But I don't want to get lucky. I want to be skilled. And that's where we turned around and then worked on his verbiage. But see, until they really start making actual contacts, you can't help them. Until he done that, we wouldn't know that he was screwing up. Because he wasn't, because he wouldn't have been talking to anybody. Now he's talking to people. We can figure out why he didn't have a positive result from the results that or from the actions that he was taking. Now we can coach, move him forward, and get him better results the next time. Now he talks to more people. What did you run into? Right? Twist, refine, make those little differences. But this is where, we've got to be able to help. And by the way, if you're struggling with someone, first person you could probably talk to is going to be your manager. And then look, this is, guys, it's what I do. I'm a coach. I just got a whole lot more responsibilities, but I can help hopefully find where they're missing. But if they're not in action, there's something between their ears that's holding them back. But once they're in action, now we can see and work on their skills. But in the meantime, we have to remove the excuses and find out, are they in action? If they're not in action, why? What do we got to do? What do we got to get? What do you need to see? Because the bottom line is let's take my Amanda here in Rochester. I don't, hey guys, Janet, there's I don't know if he just tried to get in this door. I don't know if he'll figure out that there was a gentleman just trying to get in the back door. I don't know if he'll figure the come around or not. And he didn't see yeah, we need to, anyway, sorry guys. I'm out in our main open, and if you know Rochester, our main door is in the back and not on the street side.
And not enough parking.
Not enough parking. Hey, there's good days, there's bad days. That's for darn sure. So here was my Amanda and Crystal. It kind of goes a little bit with what your gal was telling you. She was really clear to simplify in our verbiage. She wasn't going to do active. She was good to be actively passive. And I hired her in understanding that. So then when I put her on to her mentor, Larry Brazis, I said, Larry, here's the way Amanda's going to do business and the way that you'll have to work with her. She knows then that she would have to do those things that would have her being actively passive. And if she wasn't, we would remind her that that's what she has to be doing and what else could she do in that mode. And then what would I try to do, and still am, it would be trying to get her to grow more into the active mode by working on what's holding her back. But it would be okay It's just, you've got to do enough to make those people call you. And that's where the coaching comes in. That would be the important part. But again, our mentees are great for excuses, and we have to find out what those excuses are, because if their excuse is great, but you're not doing any business, and this is for their benefit. So if we really look at it, for most individuals, they need to talk to a whole lot of people. Just how many of you are actually going to be participating, by the way, in Hard Knocks? Yes, good. Caroline, great. Caroline's going to be one of our team leaders.
Sure yet.
Not sure yet, Shelley?
No, I'd like to be
it'll-
able to come to just one, but I do coaching with Dawn and she puts me on a tight schedule.
Oh, well, Dawn's going to be there.
Oh, that
So-
means you won't put a lot of pressure on me that day then.
Exactly, yeah. She's
I'm gonna be
actually
there.
gonna lead a team. So awesome, I love it, Jamie, thank you. So what we're going to do, and Crystal, I know your position, I wish you could be, but I understand. You're gonna be there and learning these things, that it's what they need to do, I guess, the bottom line. But one of the things that will be a prerequisite is that they complete the goal projector in either 21 University or CBU. If they go to the RE scoreboard, it will say calculate goals, same thing. So whichever way that they'll lead their ways to it. If you've not been there, know that that's an assignment, and we're going to fully embrace this tool, especially for our mentees. And the reason being is, until they realize what it takes, if they go, well, I want to buy a new car and I want to quit my job that I'm currently working. To do that, I need $65,000 in income this year from real estate. Okay. We now have their motivation, their why. Based on that motivation and why, they've come up with a dollar figure. Now that we know the dollar figure, we can figure out how many closings they got to have. And because we know how many closings they got to have, we can break it down to how many deals they need to close, how many listings that would be, how many people they need to talk to on a daily basis, to how many people they got to go interview with on a weekly basis. They'll have all of that, but right now, most of our mentees don't know. Holy cow, you guys, I didn't know it was this time. I'll wrap up.
I already told you that you're gonna do this.
You guys have been too good.
Great, I appreciate it.
Until they know what they need to do to get what it is that they want and the reason that they want it, they don't know that they're not performing at a level that they should be.
She'll talk to her.
That makes sense? So this goal projector, RE scoreboard, it'll show, calculate goals, it'll put you into the goal projector. It'll be one of the primary tools. If you want your assignment, your task as a mentor to be easier, have them complete the goal projector, and then you'll know that, hey, you were supposed to go on 2 appointments this week. Did you do it? You were supposed to go on 1 appointment this week. You were supposed to go on 1 appointment over the last 2 weeks. We weren't on 1 last week. Did you get this week? Now they know what they're supposed to do. They've basically created their job description, and just work with them from that very basic part. I want to, so the biggie on those reports, by the way, be versatile in regards to the days they work and the number of hours that they'll prospect. Because if they are dual career, look, they should get 1 hour a day. What else do they have to do? Once they get home, I'm asking for 1 hour. So I would look as a guide for 1 hour a day, specifically on just going out and talking to people, lead generation. For every hour, 5 contacts. 25 to 30 contacts, actual real estate conversations with humans. I would want to see that they are at probably 25 to 30 gets them 1 lead. 5 to 10 leads, 1 appointment, and break it down from there. Frankly, I'm less worried about those lower numbers, and it's more on how much time are they actually spending building business? How many contacts are they actually making? How many appointments have they scheduled? Also, by the way, first-time appointments. So for appointments, first-time appointments. I don't care that they went out and showed 5 homes, right? It's how many times did you sit down with somebody for the first time where you could ask for a contract? I'm going to say officially ended.